Oh,
You're not.
excuse me. Where's Brendan?
Man, you better get up
Where's
off me,
Brendan?
man.
Where's Brendan?
Get away from me, bro.
No, don't.
Hey, you need to get, hey,
Walk away.
you gotta go. I will get off. Out right now. I don't care. Get off the stage right now. Get off.
That way, Michael. No. Where's Brendan? Who's dad?
Brendan's.
Okay.
Back together.
Who's up? All right, let's keep going with these great grads. Oliver.
Let's talk about Matt Eddy real quick out of Wisconsin so I can get my weekend started. It took me all day to transcribe what the heck these Wisconsinites, these Wisconsin people are saying in this interview. So you're probably going to need headphones for this one. You'll probably have to read the screen. I did the best I could with transcribing this interview.
We'll see then. Okay, so I can see what happens.
So you've probably seen this video. I'm calling him the Grad Dad Pusher. The Grad Dad Pusher. Trying to get my Nancy Grace on. You know how she would call people like Tot Mom for Casey Anthony? It helps to think of them in a certain way. But anyway, Matt Eddy. He ruined his daughter's graduation from Baraboo High School 1 week ago today, May 31st, 2024, by bum rushing the stage and bum rushing the superintendent. Now, it has a lot of racial overtones because Matt Eddy is Caucasian and the superintendent, Dr. Rainey Briggs, as it were, he's an African-American man. You've probably seen the video on TMZ, everywhere it's going viral, Twitter, X, wherever. Matt bum rushes the show so that Briggs cannot shake his daughter's hand. Thank you to the people of Baraboo, this really lovely woman I'm dealing with. She sent me not only the interview with Matt Eddy right after the incident, telling cops why he did it. Also, she sent me the top-down view of the whole graduation ceremony, and I got other views. And then I also got an interview with the principal. So we're gonna go over all of that in this video.
Oh,
You're not.
excuse me. Where's Brendan?
Man, you better get up off
Where's
me,
Brendan?
man.
Where's Brendan?
Get away from me, bro.
No, don't.
Hey, you need to get, hey,
Walk away.
get off. You gotta go. I will get off. Out right now. I don't care. Get off the stage right now. Get off.
That way, Michael. No. Where's Brendan? Who's dad?
Brendan's.
Okay.
Back together.
Who's up? right, let's keep going with these great grads. Oliver.
And one thing that just kind of gave me a chuckle, this one photo of Matt, he has on his shirt, "Safety first." Now, I don't know where he works. People are doxing him and all that. I didn't go that deep into it. I just went deep enough to figure out if this man has any charges. Well, he just caught a disorderly conduct charge, and he has like a stay away order, harassment protective order. They're not supposed to be in contact with each other. Now we get to see what happened after that viral moment and get a little bit of insight into why Matt was saying, "You are not going to touch my effing daughter." So now, was it only about race, or is it something deeper? According to Matt, it's about something a little bit deeper, but once you watch his interview, it's kind of like, wait, why was Dr. Briggs the only one you attacked? So according to NBC News, Briggs was granted a restraining order against Matt because, he rushed that stage, and Matt is going to lie in his interview coming up. You'll see where he's telling the cops, "I didn't put hands on him until he touched me," when the video evidence, thank God for videos everywhere, thank God for all these phones and everything, thank God Big Brother is watching, because you could see Matt clearly rush up on that stage. The cops are going to call it aggressive, in an aggressive manner, put both hands on Dr. Briggs and, try and escort him out of the way. We're getting different frames and different viewpoints of what happened. So Matt is obviously lying to the cops. So as a result of his actions, he's got one embarrassed daughter. He's talking about his own embarrassment. He's got a couple of hearings. He's got a hearing scheduled for a week from today, June 14th. Now that should be on the temporary order charge. But Matt also has that disorderly conduct charge, and he's due in court on that charge August 14th. But, Dr. Briggs is saying he created space and told Matt to, get his hands off of him. You can hear in the audio, like, he's more like, "Look, bro." Obviously, the students could hear it too if it picked up on the audio. Kind of like, "Get your hands off me." It's sad. His daughter, you can tell her face. She's ready to, walk down the line, shake everyone's hand. I'm sure shake the principal's hand. Whoever all these people are, you shake their hands. Your one moment. She graduated early. Her dad is going to talk about how she graduated a year early, I guess, just to get away from this Baraboo school district and to get away from everything that's happened. So let's dig more into it. Why did Matt do this? On the surface, was it as shallow and hateful as, "I don't want my daughter touching a black man's hand," or was it something deeper? I requested the body cam video of Matt, but he was never actually arrested for the assault. He was not put in cuffs. I couldn't find him anywhere on VineLink. I was looking like, where is he, getting booked? But there was a Baraboo police officer working as the school resource officer, along with two off-duty officers. They all jumped on stage and they escorted Matt out of the gymnasium. So they did an investigation. Matt got a citation for disorderly conduct. And that's it. And that charge was forwarded to the Sauk County District Attorney's Office. That DA says the matter is under investigation. And the woman who sent me the videos from the Baraboo PD, she was so cool. I was emailing her around noon or something today, and she's already like, "It's been a long day." I can only imagine how many requests I told her she was fulfilling. So I hope she has a great weekend, because, no one asked for all of this brouhaha over this guy, this Yahoo. I told myself I'm not going to call him any names, any bad names, over this man who let his temper get the best of him and basically ruined his daughter's graduation. But I do have an idea of how she can capitalize off of this. Anyway, oddly enough, the Baraboo High School principal, Steve Considine, we're going to hear from him at the end of the video, because they sent me a body-worn camera video footage of him being interviewed. I think it just happened yesterday. I better check that date. That happened June 5th. Just 2 days ago, the principal was interviewed too, to get his perspective on things. We'll see that at the end. But anyway, the principal was on stage. 4 school board members were on stage too, including its president, Kevin Vodak. He's the subject of a recall effort by citizens who say he mishandled taxpayer money, among other things. But Matt Eddy, who is 49 years old, out of North Freedom, Wisconsin, he only confronted Briggs, so it looks bad, if we're just looking at things on the surface. But you guys guys know I like to dig until I can get to the truth. So let's watch all this video together. You can see the cop moving in. He's coming in the room, and I don't know if they're at the station, if they're still in the school somewhere, maybe. Anyway, he moves the garbage can out of the way. The cop says, "I'm sorry, have a seat, man." He's saying,
But obviously it's all looking up on the stage. Correct? So what happens next?
It goes back to when my daughter was charged, almost charged, with a bunch of bullshit.
Oh,
Wanted me in here, and when I brought up shifting with my daughter, he shook his head and rolled his fucking eyes. And I'm not like anybody else in this district that does not approve of him being a supervisor. But this comes down to my daughter. And I'm not cool with him. I'm not cool with him shaking my daughter's hand after treating her the way he did.
okay. So you got up on stage.
To block him from shaking my daughter's hand after the bullshit that she had to go through. And did. I didn't touch him until he touched me.
what I can hear, and you guys correct me in the comments, see what you hear. I mean, headphones, I had to have some younger ears listen and try and get to some of these horrible parts. Please, somebody give the Baraboo Police Department some money for new audio equipment. Oh my goodness. I did the best I could with improving it. The cop says, obviously we can see what happened. Obviously you were having some kind of exchange. You jumped on the stage, whatever he said, but what happened from there? Then Matt says, it goes back to when my daughter was charged, all of us charged with effing BS. So he cusses a lot. I don't know, I get it. Some people do it for emphasis. I tend to look at people who curse a lot as not having a wide vocabulary enough to express themselves. They don't just know a lot of words to express themselves. And we're going to see this is a theme here with Matt when he talks about why he's so mad. Matt is saying something about meeting him here maybe, and when it comes to my daughter, he shook his head and rolled his effing eyes. He said something like, I do not like anyone else in this district who does not approve of him being a supervisor, which doesn't quite make sense, but basically he says, but this comes down to my daughter and I'm not cool with him. I'm not cool with him shaking my daughter's hand after treating her the way he did. So he said, I walked up on the stage and blocked him from shaking my daughter's hand after all the ish that she had to go through. And this is where he lied. And he goes, and did. Like, you know, my daughter did go through that, whatever she went through. But he lied here when he said, I didn't touch him till he touched me. Complete fake lie. Anybody, any jury, any person can see that Matt rushed that stage and touched Dr. Briggs first.
I haven't seen what's happening. I didn't see what. I was in the crowd, so I didn't have a really good view of. I didn't really think about it, but I didn't think about it.
Yeah, that's all I want to do. Because he does not deserve it.
You can't hop up on the stage right in front of graduation. Like, you obviously knew this was going to happen.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, was it planned?
Yeah. I walked out when he was granted to speak.
I get that, but you obviously knew your daughter was going to go on stage. She was going to interact with him.
Didn't want him to be able to shake her fucking hand because he does not deserve it from her and all the shit she went through in this district.
Okay, so that should have been something that was pre-planned. We can't do what we did today. Because now, I mean, think about how your daughter feels right now, man. Your dad just gave a father? I'm not.
Okay. Are you?
I don't know if that's relevant, honestly. There's a lot of graduates this year, right? There's a lot of people out there who just have this interrupted. I understand that I understand that you're feeling hurt and you're feeling like there were problems. I hear that, like 100%. There are other ways to handle that.
The cop says, I understand what's happened, and he turns to the other man in the room, whoever that is, and says, do you want? And the other guy says, I was in the crowd, so I didn't really have a good view of what happened, but... And then Matt jumps in, I didn't really hit the guy, I didn't get physical with him, that's all I want to do, because he does not deserve it. And then the voice of reason guy, who's ever not in the cop's uniform sitting there, he says, but you can't hop up on stage right in front of graduation like that. You obviously knew this was going to happen. And then Matt goes, oh yeah, for sure. And then I think the cop says, so, I mean, it was planned? And Matt says, no. But if you look at the overhead view, you can see him off on the left side of the video. He's in white, he's wearing the cap, so you can see, and he's just like kind of getting ready, you know, seeing his daughter's about to go on stage, and then he steps closer, and right before his daughter's turn, he like flies up those stairs. I mean, he's lucky someone didn't take him out, because the cop is going to explain that's aggressive behavior. These days, when someone is rushing a stage, you know what we're going through in this country sometimes. If someone is just like rushing a stage and going up to confront someone, you don't know what the heck they're going to do. You don't know if they have a weapon, if they just want to talk. He's acting weird. But he said, no, it wasn't planned. He's like, I walked out when he was like grooming or getting ready to speak. And then the voice of reason guy says, I get that, but you obviously knew the guy was going to go on stage, like Dr. Briggs was going to be on stage. And Matt said, and I didn't interact with him.
Trainer?
Here's what I would say. From my perspective as a district level administrator, right? If there are specific allegations you have around how one of our administrators or staff has treated your child, then we need to hear about it. Or the police need to hear about it, depending on what the allegations are. I'm not aware of allegations of Dr. Briggs doing anything to your daughter specifically.
No, it wasn't him specifically.
Okay.
She was expelled for doing the same thing that was done to her, and nothing happened to the previous people, and we didn't have the music in there with him, the school board,
An expulsion room.
yeah, and he was rolling his eyes when I brought up the fact that the same thing happened to her, and it pissed me off. And I got moving because we're in the middle of a court case.
Yeah. I hear you. I really do. Right now, we're in the middle of a graduation ceremony.
I understand that.
Yeah.
And I will be embarrassed about this as soon as I walk out of here. Because my daughter not only graduated this year, but she's graduating a year early to get the fuck out of here. To move on with her life. And just to get out of Fairmont School District. And all the candy girls and all the bullshit. And I am so proud of her for that. But I do not want him to be able to have that one moment of shaking her hand and not remembering who she was.
Obviously, I need to be handled a different way, is what I'm trying to get at. Because you obviously knew she was going to go up on stage, she's going to have interaction with them. So when you're jumping up on stage and rocking whatever you did, again, I didn't see what happened, so I don't know what the physicality of it was. Was it a body block? I mean, what we're talking about.
Exactly. That's all it was.
Was there pushing? Was there shoving?
Not till me got put his hands on me. I didn't come up there and like knock him out or twist him down or...
Well, if somebody pops up on stage, we don't know what's going to happen. I'm just going to put this out there. I mean, we've been on stage many times in these kind of situations, right? Or you think about it as a sporting event, right? If somebody in the audience jumps where they're not supposed to go and gets in your face, that's considered a pretty aggressive move.
So Matt says something about like in the rear view. Help me out, see what you hear. He probably doesn't say chain her. I think he says something about January, so maybe something happened in January to make him so mad. But the voice of reason guy says, here's another thing from my perspective as a district level chair, right? I think that's what he says. If there's specific allegations you have around how one of our administrators or staff has treated your child, we want to hear about it. or the police can hear about it depending on what the allegations are. So he gets to the nitty-gritty. He says, I'm not aware of allegations of Dr. Briggs doing anything to your daughter specifically. Like if there was some huge problem, I'm not aware of Dr. Briggs like harming your daughter. And then Matt goes, no, not him specifically. And they're like, okay. So like, dude, if you had a problem with Dr. Briggs, you're rushing that stage as if he assaulted your daughter or if he did something heinous to your daughter. But he goes, no, not him specifically. So then it's like, okay, dude, why did you specifically go after Dr. Briggs then? The only black person standing on that stage. Makes no sense. Matt finally gets down to a little bit more. He says, his daughter was expelled for doing the same thing that was done to her. What the heck he's talking about, who knows? And nothing happened to the previous people. And we never had a meeting in their school of art, something like that, he says. And then Voice of Reason guy says, did you have an expulsion hearing? And Matt says, yes. So whatever happened to get his daughter expelled, and if Matt thought it was unfair, and he was kind of claiming they never had a meeting, but then the guy says, well, did you have an expulsion hearing? And Matt says yes. So obviously he had an opportunity to air his grievances at that meeting. But Matt says, and he was rolling his eyes when I brought up the fact that the same thing happened to her and it pissed me off. And now something, because we're going to have a court case. And they said, yeah. And the guy says, I hear you, I really do. So if Matt was really angry in this expulsion hearing, if he thought Dr. Briggs was rolling his eyes and not hearing him, why didn't he bring it up then in the meeting? Or why didn't he continue to fight in a way that uses his brain? Why not write letters, get a lawyer if you have to, whatever didn't involve rushing a stage in graduation and pushing Dr. Briggs out of the way saying, you're not shaking my effing daughter's hand. I mean, I'm sorry, that's just not smart to me. So the guy is saying, look, I hear you, I do, but right now we're in the middle of a graduation ceremony. And then Matt said, I understand you and I will be embarrassed about this as soon as I walk out of here. And he's saying, because my daughter wouldn't normally graduate this year. She graduated a year early to get the F out of here, to move on with her life, and just to get out of the Barbaro school district. And he says something about, I couldn't hear girls. I was trying to hear what he said there. And all the girls and all the BS, and I'm so proud of her for that. But I do not want him to be able to have that one moment of shaking her hand, like, hey, how are you? And he says something about who she was, like maybe he didn't even know, maybe Dr. Briggs didn't even know who she was. And you can tell a lot of people you can hear in the audio, they're like, whose dad is that? Dr. Briggs doesn't even remember having but one interaction with Eddy, I guess. He didn't really know who this guy was. Like, it's just not an appropriate way to handle your problems, But it's really weird the way he's like, on the one hand, Eddy is saying he's so proud of his daughter. She, graduated early, so I'm assuming she got through high school in 3 years. I mean, that's great. And he wanted her to move on and out of there. So why couldn't he go to the graduation, with his mom, his dad's there, his in-laws are there, people are there. Why couldn't he go to the graduation with a grateful heart and say, whew, I'm glad she's out of here. I'm so proud of her. Let me take videos and just take us all out to eat. Like, that would be the best revenge. Living well is the best revenge. Anyway, they're trying to explain to him, I just want you to behave in a different way, is what I'm trying to get at. You obviously knew she was going to go up to the front of the stage. She was going to have an interaction with him. So by you jumping on stage, blocking, whatever you did, again, I didn't see what happened. So I don't know, the cop says, what the physicality of it was. Was it like a body block? And then that's when Eddy goes, hand block, exactly. That's all it was. No, you just don't put your hands on people. Like, you just don't. And the cop asked, was there pushing? Was there shoving? And that's when he lies again and says, not till inaudible, put his hands on me. So he's blaming Briggs. It makes no sense. Of course, Dr. Briggs looks like he gets angry because Eddy is jumping up there, taking both hands on him, pushing him out of the way, like lunging on stage aggressively, pushing him out of the way. And you can see in the scenes from behind, he's like, get your hands off me, man. And all these other guys have to go up there to control Eddy. And they were telling, I guess, Dr. Briggs to just walk away, which is good. Dr. Briggs walked. got back in line to shake the hands of the rest of the graduates. But Eddy is downplaying it. He's like, I didn't come up there and like knock him out or whatever, push him down and they're saying something like, well, until you hopped on stage and we don't know what's going to happen, I'm just going to put this out there. The voice of reason guy says, I'm seeing many times in these kind of situations, right? Think about a sporting event, right? If someone in the audience jumps where they're not supposed to go and gets in your face, that's considered a pretty aggressive move. And Eddy kind of goes, like, I guess, he's either like, oh well, or he's like maybe just really, maybe a little remorseful.
I hear you. Like, I hear what you're saying about the lie. And I know that that's how you're feeling, right? And I'm not going to blame you for how you're feeling, and you're like thinking like that, right? In this moment, that's not the way. And from my perspective, I wish we could have had a conversation around these kind of things prior, right? And we, kind of gotten to a place where you can be able to do that. Because the unfortunate reality now is that this was a pretty significant disruption. And I guarantee you, not the way the daughter wanted this to go.
Probably not. Do you have your ID on?
Mhm.
So I'm not going to get to our back gathering here, but we can be looking at disorderly conduct charge out of this. Okay. And then it's just sort of a different way. The one for your daughter is for the other 200 students, community members. So, confirmation from anything like that. Anyone else you want to say for yourself in your defense? Pretty simple. Not really back at it, I hope.
I looked back at it and think I didn't want to shake her hand, and
I mean, I hope you're really full remorseful.
a little bit for her sake, and the kids, but
You know how she's gonna look back at her graduation and say, Dad jumped on stage. Who else are you here with?
my wife, my mother, my father, and in-laws.
Well, here's what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna look at the full story. Looks like you're out of here for the night. I don't want you coming back here. If you don't come back here, then your next option is taking out in cuffs. Understood?
100%.
Good phone number for you. Lock you out. Crystal clear, you're not to come back in here. Understand?
Understood.
But the voice of reason guy says, I hear you, I hear what you're saying about the lie, or I think he says lie, and I know that's how you're feeling. I'm not gonna, I guess, assume how you're feeling or anything like that, but in this moment, that's not the way to handle it. And from my perspective, I wish we could have had a conversation around these kinds of things prior, right? And kind of gotten to a place where you didn't do any of that. But the unfortunate reality now is that this was a pretty significant disruption, and I guarantee you, not the one that your daughter wants today. And then Eddy goes, probably not. Like he didn't think of these consequences until now. The cop is like, do you have your ID on you? And he's like, mm-hmm. So he's digging around. The cop talks about, I don't know if we can get our fact gathering here, but we can deal with that charge or whatever. And then Matt kind of, his phone thuds on the table hard, and the voice of reason guy says, not only just for your daughter, but for the over 200 students, like something for their remembrance. And then he finally finds his ID and he kind of throws it down on the table. He's just disrespectful, in my opinion. The cop is like, on probation, parole, anything like that? I guess he's grunting a no. He gets really quiet here. And I think the cop is saying something like Bakersfield, an offense. What the heck is he saying? But this is when Eddy gets really quiet. The cop sounds like he definitely says pretty stupid. Like, huh? Pretty stupid. And I think if I'm hearing correctly, he's saying something about it being a black guy. That didn't help. Now we've got to know the history of this school. These are the kids, some of them, not these kids, obviously. This was, I guess, a while back. I don't know how long ago it was, but they were in trouble for giving that Heil salute in a photo, some children. So it's just a not good history. So Eddy gets really quiet and he says, I don't know if that had anything. So I think he's trying to say, oh, I don't know if him being black had anything to do with it. I just didn't want him to shake her hand. They are telling Matt, I hope you are remorseful. Like, I hope you have some remorse. Matt says a little bit for her sake and the kids, but now they're telling Matt, now she's going to look back at her graduation and say, my dad jumped on stage. So they're asking him, who else are you with? He said, my wife, my mother, my father, and in-laws. And by the way, I can tell his wife has already hidden or deleted her Facebook, all this negative attention. And the cop says, well, I'm going to keep it real. I think he says, though, nobody's going to like or write the full story. So that's what I'm trying to get to, the full story here. But I think the cop knows, yeah, these are really bad optics. And of course, those who only look at the surface of this, they're going to think, yeah, it's definitely just racism. He just didn't want his daughter shaking the hand of a black man. He says, I'm going to get you out of here for the night. I don't want you coming back here. If you do come back here, then your next option will be to come out in cuffs. Understood? 100%. What's a good phone number for you? And then he says, walk you out. And of course, we prefer you to not come back in here. Understand? Understood. And that was it with Eddy's interview. We just still don't know what's up with that expulsion story with his daughter, but I think she can parlay this attention into something good. I mean, it's sad. We aren't responsible for what our parents do, but some people, when the internet mob gets a hold of things, it's kind of like, oh, his daughter must be just like him and all that, and that might not be the case. She could just, I don't know what she's been through. I don't know what this expulsion was about. I don't know what these girls he's talking about, the dad is, I don't know if she was bullied or I have no idea what the situation is, but she could come out and talk about it. I think that would be one way to turn this negative into a positive. Finally, there's the body-worn camera interview with the Baraboo High School principal, Steve Considine. And at the end, you'll see he says, Dr. Briggs did not deserve that. I was worried for the safety of Dr. Briggs. Disgusting behavior that has taken away from the accomplishments of our kids. That was his viewpoint on this whole brouhaha.
Behind me,
Sure.
but he went around me. All right, we can talk about it.
Yeah, it's literally just a recorded conversation. Just literally what we're doing now.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
cool. Ready?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So I'm with Steve Considine. He was working the Baraboo High School graduation on Friday, May 31st. So just give me an idea of what you're doing, what you saw, what you felt.
Yeah. So as a high school principal, kind of in charge of graduation, and some of the coordination of it. I was the last person in line, so we had one school board member handing the diploma and shaking hands, and then we had 3 other board members on stage, Dr. Briggs, and then myself. I was closest to the stairs, and then students would shake my hand, and they were supposed to move their tassel to the other side as a graduate, and then walk down the stairs. There was another adult at the stairs that was reminding them to do that, but her back was to the crowd. Can I say the name?
Yeah, that's fine.
Ed But as you know, like there's more people going through the line, right, as the names are read. So her name was read, so she was standing in a line that our assistant principals are just holding them back, right? So she walked out. At that point, the other student in front of her, alphabetically, I was shaking their hand. Her, which I now know dad, kind of jumped the steps and went around me. So I was shaking the hand, and he went around me, in front of me, off to the side here, to Dr. Briggs, put both hands, I believe, on the shoulders and tried to escort them. You can see on the camera that I look kind of like, what's going on? And I, paraphrasing, but it's like, you don't get to shake my daughter's hands, you don't shake my daughter's hands. You can line, and I'm like, come on, like, because my intent was that the sooner I can get her off the stage, the sooner the dad would leave.
Sure.
However, so I am motioning to her with my right hand, I believe, to continue through to shake my hand and get off the stage. That's when I hear Dr. Briggs say something to the effect of, get your hands off of me. And then, again, that's when I turn my head and see there was some sort of scuffle. That's when I went in front and inserted myself between Dr. Briggs and this guy, Mr. Eddy, I don't know his name. And then he was pushing back against me, so I would say that I directed him towards the curtain and just kept saying, get off the stage, get off the stage, get off the stage, with both hands on. He tried to then, we had kind of cornered him, myself, and I believe Dave Hosley, who was one of the speakers, and Joe Bovlinka. Kind of cornered him, so he really couldn't go anywhere, so he tried to lift up the curtain. There were gymnastic mats underneath, so he scurried out. He ran off the stage. At that point, I saw other people running towards the stage, which were the picklers, and I pointed, because he ran off. I was trying to get them through the tunnel. Then, as he exited the stage, I turned to Brittany Crammon, and I said, we need to keep going. I feel like it was probably like 45 seconds from the time he entered the stage, and from the time to the time we read the next name, give or take a few seconds, but
Okay. So, I guess, what was your initial reaction to somebody coming on stage? I mean, what were your, I guess, feelings or thoughts, if any?
I guess my back is somewhat to the crowd because I'm turning, and so when someone came on the stage, even though he grabbed Dr. Briggs, my first reaction was, there's an emergency happening that I don't know what's going on. Something behind me or something off to the side of me. And then, like, because he grabbed his shoulders and is trying to remove him, until I heard, hey, you don't get to shake my daughter's hands or don't touch my daughter. I don't know exactly what was said, but then I knew it was way more than just, my initial thought of something's happening behind me.
Okay. So after Dr. Briggs said, get your hands off me, is that when you felt like something was wrong?
Yeah, I turned again, and that's when I heard, get your hands off me, and I turned my head, and like I said, I see what a scuffle or something. I don't know exactly what, and that's when I left right away and inserted it.
Okay. So did you physically push the dad away to try to kind of get him off stage, like to...
Yeah, I guess I'd have to look at the camera again, but from my perspective, I inserted myself without hands on him, but as he pushed on me, I put both hands here and kind of steered him away. Okay,
so he put hands on you first, essentially.
I wouldn't know. I don't know if it's directly hands, but there was pressure against me because if I would have separated, like I got in between them. If he would have just ran away, I wouldn't need to. But he was definitely pushing back, almost like he was trying to get at Dr. Briggs, and that's when I said, two hands, get out of here.
So how did you feel like when that was happening? When you had to insert yourself? I mean,
I was very mad. Right, it's a special ceremony for a special night. The Dr. Briggs did not deserve that, and the student did not deserve that. We have a lot of people in the gym. I was very frustrated, and I think I also was worried for the safety of Dr. Briggs.
Sure. And then obviously that, for whatever extended that period, that obviously it seized the operations of the graduation, so it interrupted all that.
Yes.
Okay. Did he, the dad, did he say anything to you directly towards you, or is it still all kind of directed towards Dr. Briggs that you can remember?
It was all directed at Dr. Briggs. There was nothing at me. I'm trying to think, going back, after the... Yeah, I think right away I'm like, hey, Like, I think that's on camera, right? Like me yelling, hey. And then, I get in between, I put my hands on him, and like, he doesn't touch my daughter. I'm like, get off the stage now, get off the stage. Like,
Okay.
and he kept saying he doesn't get to touch my daughter or something.
Okay. But afterwards, he was
gone, and I was trying to get us back in track, right? You
Perfect.
can see me pointing, I think, to people being like, hey, like, he went that way. But I really didn't want to, like I said, I was trying to get us back on track as fast as possible. If it wasn't graduation, probably, to be honest, if it was something else, I probably would have gone and made sure. But
there's a
the pickler
requirement
was there.
for you to be.
The picklers were there. There was other people that were going after him, so I felt comfortable that the threat had been
That was going to be
taken
handled.
care of. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, anything else that you want to add in there? Is that anything else that seems of importance to add?
No, just that the guy was very aggressive, right? And it was a disgusting behavior that it's taken away from our kids' accomplishments.
Absolutely.
So,
All right. Well, I appreciate your time.
all right, thanks.
Elise Kathleen Eddy.
The daughter, I'm sure she didn't want any of this attention. She probably didn't expect her dad to do that at all. You can tell from her face, her expressions. So maybe she can use it and parlay it into something positive to, who knows, always write a book, come out with her own YouTube video or channel, talk about all of it, talk about her history, how she's raised, or even talk about whatever situation happened that caused her to get expelled from school. And if it truly was unfair, I mean, if she's out of Baraboo now, talk about it more. If she was bullied, let's just say, I'm making this up out of thin air. If she was bullied, talk about being bullied and what she feels the school didn't handle correctly or something like that, just to get her side of the story in, because right now it just looks so ugh. But anyway, Matt Eddy is lucky he didn't get an assault charge or some kind of hate crime charge or whatever. It's just ugh. Zechariah 14:7. But it will be a unique day which is known to the Lord, not day and not night, but at evening time there will be light. Whew, okay, that's this case. Thank God for the kind people of Wisconsin for sending me all these videos and just dealing with this deluge of attention to their small, it's only like 13,000 people in that town or whatever. I like the name though, Baraboo. I don't even know how far north they are in Wisconsin. I've been to Wisconsin. I've been to Cascade Mountain skiing because I'm from Chicago originally. So that's why I can understand. I love the accents. But Chicago, I call it like the Warsharsky accent, like da bears, that kind of accent. So I kind of understand it. That helped me along with headphones and prayer and closing my eyes and all that. But yeah, I've been to Cascade Mountain Ski Resort. I wonder if that's still open. And Devil's Head was gorgeous. That's farther north somewhere in Wisconsin. So I wonder where Baraboo is. I wonder if I was near there. I know it's definitely close to where Jeffrey Dahmer was housed when he was still alive, whatever house I was staying in. And I was so scared before I went to bed that night. My friends, we were staying in somebody's house, I have no idea. And the guy pointed through the window and he said, you know who is right over there? Like in that correctional facility? Jeffrey Dahmer. I was staring out that window and I could not fall asleep probably until 2 in the morning or something, because I'm like, don't let him escape and come break in this little house. But anyway, he's gone now. We know that whole crime story. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. There's more in the works. There's a lot more body cam requests in. We'll see what happens with Matt Eddy here. Hopefully he's really learned a lesson. Hopefully his daughter can turn this into something positive. Take care.